Hello guys, Michael here with another video. Today I want to talk about how I went from being super boring, weird, awkward and super scared towards attractive women to becoming someone who is really attractive, who is really interesting and confident towards women. Really, how did I went from A to B? And not only am I really good with women, really good making them feel good when they are with me, but also coaching thousands of men doing the same. I've been working also with one of the biggest dating firms in Europe as a head communication coach. And everything had to start somewhere. All right, so let's talk about my way getting from A to B. In the beginning, I was very insecure, very incompetent when it comes to women. I thought that I was good with general people, like I have some kind of a social skill born within me that made me good socially, just not with women. I was terrified, with women. If some attractive women came to me or just pop up somewhere close to me and I could just, talk with her, or she actually joined our social circle and started to talk with me, I was always very awkward. I just didn't know what to say. And whatever came out from my mouth was just rubbish. I could not even act like she was my friend either. Anyway, I was just a weirdo. I just didn't know what to do. So I actually went into the pickup artist community and started to read a bunch of stuff. And I went to a certain degree with the mystery method, M3 model. There was another firm called the Love Systems. They were, it's also like mystery method, but in an updated version that I really went into and start practicing all the steps that you needed, step by step, this routine-based style. And it was actually much better than not doing anything at all. So I started to, use that in bars and pubs. And I noticed that as soon as I start approaching women with mystery method, it actually gave results. It did. However, was I good with people? Was I good with women? No. I was just good at doing routines. So that had a very limited effect. I mean, it was much better than not doing anything at all, for sure. Maybe it's good to actually get dates from not being able to do anything at all to having a structure that you can follow and suddenly you can get a couple of dates. However, if you're going to meet women that are attractive towards other men as well, that would be a hard cookie to break. I mean, women that have a lot of male attention don't fall for those pickup routine tricks. They just don't. You just have to be really good for real. So I abandoned that mystery method style. And I was just living, in a nowhere land for quite many years. However, I started to study my master's. So I went into, after I did my economic degree, business degree, bachelor, I then went into communication. And I started, because my business major was communication. It was like a bachelor of business, and then the major was communication. And I started to learn more in my master degree, master of communication. And what I learned during that time was that all the methods in order to build relationships was something that was not mentioned in any pickup books or dating coaches material. Nothing. And I haven't heard about that anywhere either. So what was it? What was it that I learned that in order to build relationship, to build that strong foundation, what was that? Well, it was to actually being a good listener, to understand perspectives. I didn't get that in the beginning. Like, how can understanding other people's perspective help me with attracting them, especially when it comes to women? But over and over again, it came up like, if you want to be able to build relationships, you need to be able to listen and understand people's perspectives as a foundation. So I was thinking like, okay, so why shouldn't I not try that with women? Why shouldn't I, in some way explore a little bit about how relationship building theory can work for building romantic relationship with women? Because when we're talking about relationship theory, it means all type of relationships: friendship, professional, work, family, and of course also romantic. But it was not specified to romantic. It was just this general foundation of relationships, the general idea of relationships. So I deep dived, and what I found was that if you want to be attractive towards women, you have to be the one who gives them your attention for them to express. And I actually tried to formulate a model based on that fundamental theory of how I could make them express things towards me, with me being a listener. So I started out, first I started out in my working place by just go up and start talking, or perhaps asking a question, introducing myself and asking a question. And then after that, I'm just going to take what she says and then ask more about that and be quiet and let her talk. In the beginning, I was not so good at it. But even though I wasn't that good, I just noticed that, wow, if I really go in for learning something about her and then let her tell me things that I want to learn about, oh my God, they are talking. The women are really, really talking. And that was like an epiphany. It was like, wow, I can finally start talking to women. Amazing. I could never speak with women before. I was always this guy that just don't know what to say. I don't know how to present a good story, and I didn't know how to joke or how to be funny or playful and all those James Bond stuff. I couldn't. And my limiting belief was that you have to be that guy in order to attract women. Because if you are not this bad boy, narcissistic, dark, flirtatious guy, you just can't get those attractive women. Because attractive women see that as their equal in some way. I could never be that man. I could never be that dark, playful comedian that's just going to be unbelievable cool. I couldn't. And then now when I focused on asking questions and just listen, oh my God, I was shocked how much they actually wanted to talk to me. I didn't use any specified techniques in order to make them feel even more or something. I was just there to listen. And I did that for a while. I talked with everyone, basically. Every woman that I saw that I think I should talk to, I started asking questions. I started at my work and asking questions that were just genuinely interested. And they just talked. After a while, I noticed that many of those women, they wanted to meet me more. And I was thinking like, okay, do they want to meet me as a friend or what? I don't really know exactly what their intention was. But in every single time, their attention were romantic. And that shocked me. It's like, how can they want to have a relationship with me romantically if I didn't do anything? I just asked a couple of questions and listened. And then I started to dig more. I started to ask my teachers, professors, and so on, what is happening here exactly? And I was very specific about the early stages of romantic relationship approach. And then I came across a couple of studies where they could actually measure the brain activity in women and what actually triggered attraction. And I've many times thought that what women see and think is going to be what they feel attracted to. But it's not what they see and think. It's what they feel they're going to make them attractive towards something. Unlike men who can see something beautiful and feel instant attraction, women can't do that. They cannot just feel this instant attraction. They can just see that something is attractive, think that something is attractive, but they cannot feel it in that way. So feelings has to be built up in interpersonal communication. It has to be a conversation for them to feel something. And when I realized that, I thought to myself that, wow, so all these years I thought that physical appearance, money, status, and just being very cool was the thing. That is what women want. But then I realized that that is not the case. Not the case at all. According to the scientific principles out there, all the data, all the research that has been made, that actually not only gave a conclusion for a specific study and so on, but build a foundation on scientific principles, we're saying that empathy is the thing. Understanding other people's perspectives by letting them express themselves with you as a listener is the way to go to build that empathetic foundation. Now I thought that we are getting somewhere. I wanted to do more because I thought that if I'm just going to sit there and listen, I'm not really proactively doing something. But remember, I was also doing my studies. So the more I progress, the more I learned. And then, bam, I came into the more practical aspect of my master classes. And then I figure out that it's not only that you understand other people's perspectives. That's very important for yourself. Because if you don't know other people's perspectives, you don't know what to talk about. You don't know how to keep a deep conversation. You will talk about meaningless things if you don't know how to listen and understand other people's perspectives. It's that perspectives of others that you take to discover something, to keep the conversation going, to keep the conversation heading into meaningful scenarios, meaningful areas. But if you don't understand the perspectives to start with, you can never get there. So I understood that now, and or during that time, and I was thinking like, okay, so those practical tools though, they are not saying that you should only understand other people's perspectives. And it's not enough to give the other person a short answer like, I understand. Okay, I understand you. That is not enough to demonstrate that you actually were listening and you actually were understanding. You have to demonstrate it. And you're doing it with reflective listening skills. And then that really shocked me. It's like, okay, so if I start reflecting back, then that person will really understand that I understood them. And that makes me being able to participate in the conversation as well. Because just standing there and being completely quiet doesn't feel right. So now I understood that, okay, so if I could reflect back in the right way, take things what she said and reflect it back to her in the right way, then she would feel really heard, because I'm telling her that I understood her by repeating things back. And then I come in with a tag question asking her, did I get that right? Is that the case? Did I understand you correctly? And oh my God, that elevated my conversational skills, another 2 points. And I kept doing that, practicing. And boom, now I was really into the area of making every single woman I spoke with, basically, with a few exceptions, they were completely into me because I gave them time and space to express themselves to someone who actually cared, which was me, that really cared about understanding what she said. I'm not there to give any kind of advices or help her out in any kind. I was just there to understand and make sure that she understood that I understood her. So that was just my goal. And then I went into more practical techniques in the area of interpersonal communication, which was my major in my master studies. And then I figured out that, okay, so there are other tools as well. And those tools were to actually give a statement that could make you feel in some way accepted or validated. So if I will reflect back and then I will tell her that, or ask her if I got that right, and she will reply to me by saying, yeah, you got that right. Yeah, absolutely right. Now I have the flexibility to actually say what I think as a statement. And I could say like, you know what? I think you're a really cool girl. You know what? I really like you. I do. You know what? I find you so interesting. I like you. I never in my whole life knew before how to express something like that to a woman. But that is so necessary, because now we go into another aspect of psychology actually that is part of interpersonal communication, and that was the power of reciprocity. In order for a woman to be able to like you, really like you, they have to understand that you like them first. You don't have to always say it verbally. She can just in some way assume that you like her because you're really listening to her and understands her perspective and so on. But when I found out that I could actually speed up the process by saying, you know what, I think you're very cool. I really like you. And then don't say anything more than that. Oh my God, now I can actually, go into conversation, listen, understand her perspectives, and then give her my intent. My intent is to show her that I like her. And I can now do that. And I started to do that more and more and more. And I just noticed how my result went up another 2 points, because now it was so easy to take things further. Because I could just say that sentence, that I like you, I really think you're interesting, I really think that you are gorgeous or whatever, and then keep going with the conversation. And she will just, be more and more into me. It's almost like, let's say that you're downloading a file and here is falling in love or being really into you. And the more she's talking and the more you're listening and the more you reflect back to make sure that you feel heard and seen, the more are you downloading this file until it reaches, boom, downloaded, and then she's all into you. She's all in love with you, basically. That happened to me so many times. And that was women in all levels, even those that were very, very attractive. And another cool thing was that I noticed that no one else knows this skill unless you're going to a university. They have this specialty in interpersonal communication. Or if you go into someone who have, a very advanced company that focuses on this type of relationship building theory made into practice. If you don't, talk with those people, no one knows. And I was alone doing this. And I could just see how every guy who was beside me, they wanted to go out and start chatting with women and start making something happen, would just fall apart because they didn't know how to communicate. While basically, as soon as I could start talking to a woman, she was just all into me because I let her express things. I could listen to what she says. I take pieces and ask more about them to get into that meaningful beneath the surface, and then she was hooked. It was just simply amazing. So I had done that very often throughout my my late 20s, all my 20s. And then I wanted to take it to another step. I wanted to take it to another level. So I started to make more research. I started to reach out for the biggest dating coaches out there, asking them for insights and if I could participate to show them some part of what I'm actually teaching, what I actually know. And some of them actually accepted. One of them was actually one of the biggest dating firms in Europe, and they were based in London. They wanted me to come there and just be with them and then demonstrate it a little bit. And I came there as a sort of like a guest person because they had clients as well. So I just went there as a guest person. And then I started to do what their clients do, just go and approach women on the street. So I started, and those top dating gurus was actually follow my process. And I started to approach the first woman. And remember, I didn't do any cold approaches. I just spoke with people at work, social circle, and so on, practicing my skills. I didn't, go and talk with random people. So I had approach anxiety. I was scared of doing it, but I knew that I had to try it out. I knew that this is the perfect moment to do it with dating gurus watching me like a hawk, also being skeptical. Like, what does this Asian guy actually know? I mean, those dating gurus had tens of years of experience approaching tens of thousands of women. And now I'm coming in the picture and then, try to steer things up. They believed me, but in some way they didn't either. So I just went out there and did my first approaches. So I started with the first approach. I remember there were two women in I think they were 19 years old, maybe 19 to 20. Super, we're talking about top-notch women, top-notch girl here, like 9 or 10s. I went up to them and I started to do my thing. I went with the direct approach by saying that, excuse me, I just wanted to say hi. I saw you both. My name is Michael. What's your name? And then they just, introduced themselves to me happily. And then I just started to ask my first question, and then being quiet, let the one girl express herself a little bit. I asked them what they think about the city. And then I asked the other girl what she think about the city. And immediately, because I've learned the listening skills already, I spotted exactly the key words that came out of their sentence. So I just attacked that by taking what they said and, you know what? The thing you said about it's good living here, tell me more about the good part. What do you actually mean? And then she started expressing herself. And then I asked the other girl, and she decided and asked her to do the same. And then I used a lot of different questioning techniques that I learned from the university, how to actually take things from depth and then now get into this empathetic area where I want to understand her perspectives, meaning her relationship to the city, her relationship to whatever I wanted to find out. And they just start expressing themselves like crazy. It was like maniacs. And obviously I have to eject myself out because I don't want to stand there and talk with them all day. I wanted to approach other women to try my methodology out. So I just exited with obviously very, very good contact details. And the dating coaches were impressed. I mean, I didn't get rejected by the first approach. Then I went to the second approach, doing the same thing. What happened there then? Well, the same thing. I have to eject myself because they couldn't stop talking. They couldn't start being more and more into me, more and more into our conversation. So I have to eject myself out again with the solid contact details. And then what happened? Well, for the following 20 approaches, well, that day we did about 15 approaches. So for the following 15 approaches, I got 5 rejections and 10 contact details for my first 15 approaches. That was mind-blowing. That was absolutely mind-blowing. And the next day I went on and did another, I think it was 12 approaches. Same results. I got like 7 solid contact details and 6 so-called rejections, but they had a boyfriend or they were married or something like that. Can we call that rejection? Well, I call that them not being available, all right? I don't even see that as a rejection. So I basically succeeded with almost every single one that were available. How? Well, I using scientific principles. I knew how to talk with women to make them really feel something in conversations and make them feel important, because I was curious about them. They want to express to me what they think about things that I asked about, and they feel important. And I made them feel important because I also made sure that I reflect back perfectly by paraphrasing or something like that, and they really feel seen and heard. And that was all it took. And then after about 100 approaches, the dating firm asked me to join their team and become their head communication coach. They wanted to throw basically everything they had about conversations, and they let me take over the whole department. And I did. And I worked with that for several years, coaching a lot of clients. And even though it sounds like a quick fix, it's not a quick fix, because learning the methodology and learning how to listen really, really takes time and with consistent effort. But once you learn it, it's like bicycling. It's almost like you don't forget it. It's just stick there to a certain degree. So even if you learn this and then you don't approach for quite some time, you will still have it in you. So when you start again, you know what to do. It's like bicycling. And I like that, because that methodology is like part of you, of who you are, without being someone else. I love that. It's so authentic. It's so genuine. I was just so happy. And from that point, I just devoted myself to teach guys how to have great conversation with women that makes the whole thing much more interesting and attractive. I have been questioned by so many dating coaches out there that had me come out and show them how I did, not telling them the whole method, but they have to see it in action. And every single one has been absolutely shocked, basically. Because most of the clients that they are teaching, they get like 20 rejections before they can get one Instagram or some kind of solid number. They get so many rejections that it is ridiculous. I strongly believe that if someone can really talk with women in a real, authentic, interesting way, they can actually take away a 0 when it comes to rejections. So if someone gets 30 rejections, yeah, maybe take off the 0 and then they get like 3, 4, maybe 5 rejections before they can actually get a good solid number. But we're not talking about those 20, 25, 30 rejections before they get anything. That's just silly. So that's what I did. And then I disconnected myself from the pickup artist community and I started my own thing. I don't think my method would actually be in the segment of dating coaches and pickup artists, pickup artistry, because I am a person who actually came from the academic science in relationship building theory, likability science, interpersonal communication science, that is all connected with this foundation of relationship building. And I have made it practical with all my experiences, all the small tailoring, all the most effective techniques you can use in conversations in order to make really something happen, make it really interesting. I mean, I don't want to associate myself to dating coaches and all that. That's why I quit. I didn't want to be any head communication coach for any dating firm. I want to do it my own. I want to do it as Coach Michael Lee. And here I am today. I've been coaching over 1,000 men of how to actually become attractive for women through conversations, through building that emotional connection. And that is my story, basically. I mean, there are more nuances here and there, but overall, the big picture, this is my story. And most guys just can't believe how it actually is. It's not about being that super cool man. It's not about being the James Bond. All the Hollywood movies, all those TV series, all those things that you see just give the wrong idea of what is actually attractive towards women. I mean, it's not supported by any kind of science or practical applications made by very smart people. This is not it. What I have learned, that is it. That is the theory, that is the science, that is the methodology. So I'm very surprised that so few people actually knows about this and don't really use it in the romantic scene, also in the social scene. One of my biggest main advisors, my coach, Alexander Lyon, professor at New York State University, he pointed out that maybe 1 in 50 would know how to actually listen properly. And 1 in 50 might be less than 1 in 50. So can you just imagine how many people missing out on the real relationship building theory skills? So all in all, it might sound cocky, as I said in the beginning, that I'm telling you that I've been extremely successful when it comes to attracting and dating women, as well as actually creating something, building something with the women I have been approached. And I just want to tell you the real data here. I feel also that men has to learn how to become attractive the real way, because it's so sad that women are just attractive based on their appearance, and the other nuances has some value, but not that much, not a deal breaker importance. While men, on the other hand, being attractive in conversation is a deal breaker. If you are really handsome, but you're not good at conversation, the car house would crash for women that you find attractive, that is attractive toward other men as well. It will just crash. It doesn't matter how handsome you are or how cool you are. If you cannot hold a conversation with a woman, she will be uninterested. As a rule. There are always exceptions, but as a rule, they're not interested. They thought that you were pretty, interesting in the beginning because of your appearance, maybe. But then if you can't talk, you can't build these interesting conversations, it will just fall. She will ghost you, or she will, flake on you and all that. A guy that is not so attractive, he's the average man. Not ugly, not super attractive, just a standard guy. If he is good at conversations, he can score big with women as soon as he starts to engage in that conversation. I've seen it happen over and over again, and it just blows my mind every single time. So anyway, guys, this video is pretty long, and I hope you liked it. So subscribe, like, and I see you in the next video.